I love screwing with people. Whether it's putting in entries in these lists designed entirely to inflame or switching Peter Austin's water with paint thinner.
Wait, what?
No, Peter, not again, you poor mother, Peter.
I want to end it all.
I'm just a dick at heart, and I fully embrace that facet of my character. But I'm not the only one, as there are some video game developers who seemingly can't resist messing with their players. Which, when you think about the fact that you've shelled out your hard-earned cash only for some dude you've never met to electronically teabag you, makes for some top-tier trolling. With this in mind, I'm Jules, your Southwest Savage for WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 video games designed to totally screw with you. Number 10. Left 4 Dead's AI Director. Valve's 4-player zombie first-person shooter is the benchmark on which all other undead co-op shooters are based. Tight level design, easily identifiable characters, and solid gunplay mechanics all wrapped up in a game that rewards cooperation and teamwork. Not running off, Steve! Orchestrating everything behind the scenes is a concept known as the AI Director, who in this case clearly hates you. If it thinks you're having an easy ride, it'll spawn more and more enemies until you start to feel the pinch, and occasionally it'll throw you a bone, placing health items and projectiles into the mix, but mostly it feels like the director just wants you to suffer. It even goes so far as to change the map, blocking entrances and forcing you to take alternative paths to reach your destination. And if it does that in a simple video game, imagine how malicious artificial intelligence will be when it finally takes over the world Skynet style. Number 9. Silent Hill Shattered Memories psychologically reads you. Now, there's a warning at the very beginning of Silent Hill Shattered Memories. This video game psychologically profiles you as you play. It gets to know who you really are and then uses this information to change itself. It uses its knowledge against you, creating your own personal nightmare. This game plays you as much as you play it. Well, at least the game's being honest about its intent, and you know what, I actually feel quite sorry for it having to untangle whatever's going on inside my bald head. Anyway, the site profile then proceeds to observe your actions within the game, altering the storyline, enemy appearances, and even the game's ending depending on how you played. Spending too much time staring at an NPC's breasts or hunting down trivial objects will influence your experience, as will the answers you give during psychological evaluations that pop up within the game. It all leads the player to feel that every interaction is being judged, and it gives the impression that the devs are just pointing and laughing at you somewhere out in the darkness. Number 8. Metal Gear Solid Psycho Mantis owns your console. Mr. Mantis and his telekinetic trickery have featured a few times in our lists, and for good reason. He's a fourth wall breaking bondage baddie who surprised many a players on meeting him for the first time. He uses every trick in the book to fool gamers, from making your controller rumble to forcing you to pop your controller into the second port to apparently shutting down your TV altogether. But it went so much deeper than that, as Mantis was able to read your memory card, and he could embarrass you about the number of saves you've made up to that point, or even tell you what other games you enjoyed playing. It's a truly odd moment and leaves you feeling glad that it was just your memory card and not your search history. Number 7. Alien Isolation purposely messes with your plans. If the Alien movies taught us anything, it's that artificial intelligence is not your friend. And guess what? That's just as true in Creative Assembly's Alien Isolation. There are actually 2 types of AI running in Alien Isolation at once. One controls the alien itself, while another overall AI director controls pretty much everything else. And while the alien is never allowed to air quotes cheat, that is that the director doesn't tell it exactly where you are, it does give the xenomorph a few hints about your general location. Couple this with the fact that the director can make fair guesses as to where you're going next or what you're going to do, and it boils down to the fact that you're actually fighting 2 foes at once. The director has the power to send the xenomorph to zones knowing that it will spawn just ahead of your destination, or in rooms where you'll find the next objective, just to make sure that your life aboard the Sevastopol is entirely as tricky as possible. Number 6. Eternal Darkness turns you insane. One of the core mechanics of Nintendo's underrated gem Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem is whatever happens, don't go insane. Which, you know, sounds easy, but unless you're absolutely never going to play this game, which is actually the easiest way to stay sane, then you're going to have to fight against the game's sanity effects. Maybe you'll die, maybe you'll shrink, maybe your entire inventory has disappeared and your character can't move because the controller isn't connected. Whatever's going on, confusion is the order of the day. The game will even skew camera angles and decrease the volume because apparently insanity is a lot like accidentally sitting on a remote control. What's worse is when the game starts messing with your screen. Much like Metal Gear Psycho Mantis, Eternal Darkness can seemingly turn off your TV, crash the game, or even tell you that it's deleted all of your save files. Now that is really scary. Number 5. Black and White 2 whispers your name. Julian. Did you just hear that? Did Black and White 2 just really whisper my name? Yeah, it actually did. That's because Lionhead's God Sim has a clever little function that could scan your computer for recognised names, and if your Windows registered name was on a preloaded list, then prepare to be freaked out. The game never made a big deal about this, and some gamers didn't even realise it was happening, but it completely caught off guard those who heard ghostly whisperings of their own name and just made them wonder, God, did I just imagine that? Number 4. Batman Arkham Asylum crashes your computer. Superhero simulator Batman Arkham Asylum is just about the greatest comic book game ever made, but even old Bats and the player controlling him isn't immune from a little mind melting from time to time. It apparently comes out of nowhere. One moment you're Dark Knighting about when suddenly the screen flickers and blurs and pixelated blocks coat the screen. From there the game will restart, only now you're playing as the Joker, hustling the Cape Crusader into the asylum where, to be honest, he really belongs. Thankfully, Rocksteady added a little clue that this was supposed to happen, as an on-screen hint reads, use the middle stick to dodge Joker's gunfire. The middle stick that doesn't exist, you mean? Well played, developers. Number 3. Shenmue 2 wants you to fail QTEs. In Shenmue and its sequel, QTEs are a mainstay mechanic, typically when chasing down enemies or beating them up, so over time it primes players to act fast. It happens so often, in fact, that you'll probably end up just hitting the corresponding button without even thinking about it. However, that all changes in Shenmue 2 when you visit a mysterious barber who can aid you in your quest. Stay calm, he says, drawing a cutthroat razor. Then the familiar frantic beeping sound, so you do what you've done hundreds of times before. You press A as quickly as you can, and you fail even faster. The game never really explains why, and you think that maybe you didn't hit it quick enough, so you do it again, and you fail again. What you actually need to do is listen to the barber and ignore every instinct you have to, I don't know, play the game in the same way you've been doing for countless hours before. It's a dick move, but also pretty brilliant. Number 2. Dead Space 3 lets you think your friend is mad. Dead Space 3 was, let's just say, very different to the first 2 titles, but it did have one very interesting feature in the form of co-op insanity. Buddy up with a friend and you'll both be having very different experiences. That's because player 2 takes control of a mentally damaged military man who sees reminders of his broken past everywhere he goes. Creepy toy soldiers, the bloodied faces of past comrades and enemies, nothing is what it seems. On the other side, player 1 sees the game world exactly as it's meant to be. This ensues howls of, "Did you just see that?" while player 1 confusingly says, "See what?" And number 1, The Prisoner wants you to reveal your secrets. Loosely, oh so very loosely based on the TV show of the same name, The Prisoner was an adventure game for the Apple II. The setup's pretty much the same as the TV show. You're an intelligence agent who's kidnapped and confined to the island because you know things the authorities want to know. The rules of the game are infuriatingly simple. You're given a 3-digit code, don't tell anyone what that code is. The computer, meanwhile, will use every trick it can to obtain that information, and that includes falsifying a system crash in the hopes that you'll use the code to restore the game. So you go ahead, you pop in the 3-digit code into the command line, and game over. Genius. And that's our list. Subscribe for more content like this, and don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. I've been Jules, and I'll speak to you soon.